Okay, welcome to the garden. We're going to do a little bit of a garden update. Okay, so we're going to start off with the corn here. The corn obviously used to be right here. I've already cut it down. I left some of this pulled out. I just chopped up all the corn bits, put them underneath, and then just covered them. I like to rotate crops around. This little cucumber was growing where I used to have the cucumber, so went ahead and thought I'd give it a chance over here. Usually I don't transplant well, but we'll see how it does. The temperatures have been, well, the heat index has been up to 105, so it's just been really, really hot, but finally had some rain today. And so for fall gardening, I will now put the cucumbers here. Had pretty good turnout, even though it was super hot. It seemed to dwindle and end a little bit early for both the tomatoes and the cucumbers, but still got plenty out of them. The zinnias are growing right like crazy. I've actually been trying to cut off the blooms because the seeds are right here. And so I've been cutting those off and bringing them inside the garden shed so they can dry out. But these will turn into more little zinnias, you could tell, the ones that I haven't gotten to. Okay, so cucumbers will be here now. And now let's go over corn. We'll end up over here now since I'm kind of rotating things around. Some of my nightshades that are the reason for moving things around are still doing pretty good. Again, the tomatoes, the tops of them, I cut off and I completely cut to the bottom. I like to leave the roots of anything in the ground, so even with the corn, when I cut off the stalks, I left the lower half in the bed because the worms will take care of the roots as they die. I don't even till it up or anything, I just leave them be. But you just want to kind of dig down a little bit, cut it, and then they'll do their thing, compost. Here's some more little seeds, some little seeds right in here. Okay, all right. Basil seeds are growing like crazy. I do leave my basil to seed because my pollinators absolutely love it, and I still have plenty of basil to harvest. So I need to make some pesto. Because of the rain, a lot of the seeds have actually fallen to the ground, and they look kind of like slug eggs, I would say, that to describe them as, because they get that little jelly coating onto them. I mean, they're all along the side and everything. You can see it really good, just kind of all along the area right there. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. There you go. But you can see even right here where the seeds are, you can see how they kind of have that little jelly coating on them. Now ideally I should have come out here, cut some of these stalks so I could save some, which I can still do that for a lot of these other green ones. Hello little bee. So I'll probably do that, and I'll see what more I can get. Again, it's just really pollinator friendly to have all these anything that can grow in this heat, and just let it do its thing. So tons of little baby basil plants down here. I'll have to pull some out. Again, back to the tomatoes. Sorry, I'm kind of going back and forth. The tomatoes died. They got huge, and the bottom halves were just doing really bad. So I cut them all the way down. Again, I just cut them to the dirt level, and I cut the green tops off of, they're just the best ones, the green tops, shredded all the leaves below it, laid the bottom half sideways, buried it just a bit sideways. You can see how it's kind of curved around in there. And now it'll do its thing for fall. So I didn't even have to grow new tomato plants from seed or anything like that from fall. But when it comes time for spring harvest, I will use a different bed and give this one a break from nightshades for a season or two. So I did that with all of these. You can see some more right here. Oop, oop, oop. Oh, that's a lizard. You startled me. Where are you? Where are you? Where'd you go? He's somewhere in there. Okay, yep, another one. Some of them look, again, kind of ratty, but it's been so hot. And even when I did this, it was in the hundreds outside. So that's also going to take its toll on them. Look, there's some mealy bugs on there too. See that little white bug on there? That's mealybugs. You can squish them. What I'll probably do, since there are a little bit of mealybugs, is I'll just give them a little bit of a spray. Let me show you what I use since we're already talking about them and we see them. Let's go get it. I'm a little fish pond. See some little fish in there. Okay. The fish pond, the reason for that is some of my other house plants, you have to have distilled water, or you can just use fish water. So I chose to just use fish water. Here's some of my dried flowers that I'll be taking all of the seeds from. It's a mess in here, sorry. Okay, some more, I'm rooting some more of the snake plant. Okay, already put some little babies, I'll show you in a minute, out there. So you can get this spray in many different forms. You can get it in a little spray bottle, which I think is kind of hard to use. You can get it, when it gets towards the end, it just doesn't squeeze very well. And you can also get it concentrated and put it in a little sprayer. Or you can get this kind, which I kind of like. You don't have to pump it up or anything. You just give it a little shake before spraying, and then you can go to town. Since they're kind of in the back and they're in a shaded area, I'm going to go ahead and do it right now. But generally, you want to use this stuff when it's not super sunny outside, because the oil in it can fry your plants. So since this is back here in the shade, it's already getting to be towards the end of the day. So I'm just going to go ahead and give that a little spray. And probably put it on has a little area where you could do a little bit more of a broadcast. So put it on that setting right there so I can do some more coverage there. Since I've got pollinators out, of course I'm not spraying anything where a pollinator would be. I'm just spraying, just where I saw those few tiny little mealy bugs. Everything else looks pretty good. I'm not going to spray those. I think they're pretty good. Oh, right there. Anything that looks like one, if it's a white little speck, I'm just going to spray it just in case. Okay. Oh, that's looking good. Again, those totally look like little snail eggs, but again, it's just little basil seeds from falling down off of the little tops there. So it's just gonna completely grow more all over this yard. Okay, so this is where I had the cucumbers. Oh goodness, you can see the zinnias are popping up even down here, because it's just been too hot to come out into the garden, so I really have been neglecting it. So cucumbers were here, now they're out. And more little zinnia seeds all over the place. I have some peppers in here that are still producing, but they've been really small, and I think it's just because of the heat. I do get some more jalapenos still. I've got some banana peppers. I think I just pulled the banana peppers. So, oh, this is a random corn that I think the birds had dropped over here. So it's probably not going to be a really good eating corn. It's probably just from some of the seed that the corn mixture that I give them to keep the squirrels and birds all on that side of the yard. So, so this is probably not going to be good eating, but I'll keep growing it just for fun, and just see what I can get from it, and maybe just feed it back to the squirrels. So even these, I need to come out and take some of the marigold seeds out. But if I wanted more marigolds anywhere, you can just, plop them in the ground like that and they'll grow. So again, probably from the birds bringing that in. So the heat has really gotten to everything. But it'll be okay. Again, corn will go here. It's still too hot to do the corn, but yesterday, since we had all this rain, it is September now. I figured I'm going to go ahead and put them in there, and then maybe it'll start cooling off before they go to tassel, which it should. That way they can pollinate, because if it's too hot outside, pretty much everything has a hard time pollinating when it's crazy hot out. So, but it should cool down by the time they get to that point. So I thought, well, this will help with everything, getting some water. Let's just set this down right here. See if you guys can say hi to the fishies. Hey, fishies! So I have aeration in here because since this is Florida, it gets hot and there's lack of oxygen in the water when it gets to be, so when the water gets hot. So since this is a tiny pond, a little over 20 gallons, since it is pretty small, I just have a little small mollies in there. The biggest thing I have in there is a blue origami. The biggest that'll get is 6 inches. So everything else will be small and just have the one big one, and they can all do their thing. And again, I now have water that I could use for the plants, and then I could put my pot here is what I use, and then I just use my sprinkler system with this little hose right here to fill up my pot, add some dechlorinator, and do that for my any water changes if they need any. But so far they've been pretty self-sufficient. So one last thing that I promised before ending the video, even my strawberries have taken a hit in the heat, but it'll be okay. It'll be okay, they'll bounce back later on. So these are what I grew from the snake plant. You can see a little end from there from when I had cut it off. But you can see these are just from cutting the tops off, and it's just kind of, it's anchored onto this one right here. So those will grow, and that's just from, I cut the tops of any areas that were burnt from winter time. I just cut those tips off and then threw them in water. They take a long time to root. So I should have cut them a lot lower, but I can cut these a little bit lower and root more later on. But yeah, anything that kind of took a little bit of a hit from winter, because I neglected to bring it in every single time we had snap where it got super cold. And so the one time I didn't roll it into the garden shed, the tips got, you can tell from these tips here, they got pretty done up. And so I leave them in here, and I just cut these. So I cut them and then I put them in that other bowl out there, and I just shoved them. You can chop the whole thing up and make it, do it all at once, but I've been doing, I guess, kind of slow, kind of new at that. Okay, so garden's doing really good. Again, my mint kind of died down. It got huge. I just ended up chopping up a lot of it. It was getting to be too big. So the mint kind of took care of, because I don't want seeds from that dropping all over the place, since that's a little bit more invasive. So zinnias are doing good. I do have some eggplant back here again. They've been pretty small lately, just because of how hot it's been, but it's still producing, and that's a nightshade. So these two areas are definitely going to have to do a pretty good rotation when it comes to the springtime planting. So once these fizzle out, these back 2 rows here, that's where my lettuce will go. That way they get a little bit more shade, and hopefully that will help with some of the heat. But I'm going to have to wait till it gets much cooler before I even try planting those. So this is the little update of what's growing in the garden so far.